This is the Here For You podcast. I'm Matthew Timler.
I'm Logan Lauersdorf.
And today we're going to talk about Logan's journey and a little bit why he became an electrician and then some other cool factors surrounding it. So, Logan, what inspired you to become an electrician?
My uncle was a master electrician. I actually did not want to do electrical. I took some classes at a technical college down by where I'm from and let me try all the trades, and I figured out that electrical was where I wanted to be.
So, in that process, you decided you wanted to work for a contractor. Why PLB?
Well, when I was applying, I moved 2 hours north to Green Bay. I looked up the two electrical contractors with the highest reviews and applied there first. I actually got hired at another electrical contractor before I got hired with you. But after getting done on the phone with you, I just could feel a certain vibe at PLB, and I kind of decided that that's where I wanted to be. And I kept pushing the other electrical contractor off until he'd finally hire me.
Yeah, that was quite the process. So I remember I promised this gentleman that I would call him back by a certain time. And Emily reminded me hey, did you ever call Logan? And I was like, oh, I forgot to call Logan. So then he gave me another chance. And I'm pretty sure I blew you off again. And then I think in his mind, he was like, this is it. This is the final chance. So we scheduled a breakfast, and what was I, probably 10 minutes late? 15 minutes late to the breakfast. I wasn't sure if you were coming. I remember I get there, he's like, oh, you actually were coming. I thought you were just going to blow me off again. And honestly, it's been one of the best decisions that I've ever made to hire somebody. I love this kid like my son. And he's an awesome individual, inside and out, and he's super driven. And to talk about that drive, how old are you, Logan?
I'm 20 years old.
And what have you already accomplished in your career?
Gotten my journeyman's card so far just this year, which is pretty cool. Led a bunch of car washes, couple Dollar Generals, a lot of residential stuff too, but that's...
Yeah, I mean... For somebody who's been in this trade for 2.25 years, 2.5 years now, you have gone from being somebody who knows little to nothing to leading projects that are deep 6-figure projects. So that's super impressive. And it's awesome to see because it gives a lot of light to those younger people that are hey, I want to accomplish something, and you've done it in such a short period of time. It's really cool and it's inspiring. So do you still want to be the youngest master in the state?
Yes, I do.
So this is going to hit home for both of us. Right now, who holds the current record actually works for the contractor that hired you before I hired you. And he was in my apprenticeship class. And honestly, I would have never guessed that he'd be the youngest person to ever get his master's. If you were to tell me that there was anybody on this planet that would get it, I would have never guessed it was him. So with that being said, you got about 8 months that you need to get it in. And I need you to do it in 4 so you just knock his socks off. Because there's no way in heck I am letting this guy hold the record. It's got to be you, brother. So we're going to have a lot of studying coming up, and you're going to have to watch the podcast that was 4 before this, maybe 3 before this, about studying for the Masters. So that's on your to-do list now. Just so
sounds
you know.
Good.
Mainly for me, but a little bit for you. I really want it for you too, but at the same time, I think it'd be pretty cool for you to be able to run around the state of Wisconsin saying, hey, I have the youngest Masters card in the state. So I definitely want to help you make it there. Now, as far as your journey, what's on the horizon? What's coming up? What do you foresee in your future?
What's coming up is I'm actually moving back down to my hometown. We're going to open a branch for Plug Light Bulb in Milwaukee, and we're going to start that journey of growing a whole new division of Plug Light Bulb. So
yeah, it's been pretty cool to watch you go from nothing to journeymans to running projects to starting to project manage multiple projects to now you're going to assist us in opening a branch down there and you're going to be running it. So that's insane. I wish I could just do that in 3 years, but whatever, you did it and you killed it. And now it's Yeah. I always thought like people looked at me and were like, "Oh, you're impressive for like how fast you got your master's." And then I look at you and I'm like, "Wow, you just squished me." So yeah, I can't say how proud of you I am. What motivates you to want to be doing this? Because like you learn super fast and like you enjoy what you're doing. Where does that come from?
I think a lot of it has to do with the way I was raised. My parents always kind of drove that into me. Like, if you're going to do something, do it well. And if you enjoy it, that's even better kind of thing. So I guess that's kind of what motivates me is at some level not wanting to disappoint them. And then at another level, it just, I don't know, like being able to make those leaps and bounds ahead just continually drives me to want to be better. So like I'm constantly in a competition with myself to be the best version of myself I can be.
Yeah.
And do it well in kind of every aspect of my life.
That's inspiring, brother. Like it's cool that your parents taught you and had you grow up in that manner that like you're wanting to give back to them, because like that's a huge part of my organization too, is like we want to give back to the community. We want to give back to people. Like I love being able to take people like you and like let you run and like teach you and grow you. It's been super cool. Along the way, like when did you start to realize like, hey, maybe I actually can get my journeyman's this fast?
I think a lot of it had to do with Carter. When he was here, we worked together a lot, and he was struggling to get his journeyman's, and all of a sudden he got it, and I was like, I need to catch up to him, because he was like the guy I wanted to be like in line with and next to. I have a huge level of respect for Carter, and I just kind of wanted to be at that level with him. So that's kind of what pushed me to be like, hey, I want to get my journeyman's. I want to do it fast. And you allowing me to get there and helping me study to get there was huge in doing that.
That's cool. How much did you guys study a lot together? Like, I didn't even know how much you guys were studying together.
We were probably doing like one night a week leading up to his test. And then he ended up moving to Georgia right before I went to take my test. So not a whole lot then, but yeah.
You passed it, dude.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. How do you think you're ready for your master's? Or
I think I have a decent amount of work to do to get there.
I don't know. I think you could probably take it tomorrow and you might just pass it. Like I actually have a lot of confidence in you. That's one thing that's been like, you doubt yourself more than I think anybody else does. We all have a lot of confidence in you, and like your self-confidence is high, but like I don't think it's anywhere near what we have in you. What do you have as far as like advice for people that are getting into the trades, or any of the trades?
Advice I would have is when you're getting into it, don't think you know more than the guy next to you. Kind of sometimes it's okay to be humble and kind of sit back in the corner and just, watch and learn by watching. If you don't pay attention, you're never going to learn, and you're not really going to grow to like where you want to be. So my biggest advice is just be humble when you get into the trade. Somebody obviously will always know more than you. You're never going to be the best there is. There's always somebody better than you. So sometimes it's okay just to take advice from other people instead of thinking you know everything and how to do it.
I know I share this like all the time, but like something I will never forget is when a like helper showed me how to move the forks on a lull. Like, I don't know why it like blows my mind, but I had been in the trade for 10, I don't even know, maybe 15 years at that point. Like, and I'd always just brute strength the forks. And this guy who's like bigger than me is like, "You're doing that too hard." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he just takes the forks and like lets gravity let him hang. He tips it forward. And next thing I know, he's like pushing it with like his finger. Like, I can't believe I've been hurting myself my entire career. I've just been like, nobody has ever shown me that. I've been on so many job sites, so many people that I've come in contact with. Like, I've touched this piece of equipment thousands of times. And like somebody who I looked at as like, you're new to the trades, you don't know anything inside of the trades, and like you should never judge anybody, but he taught me something, like a huge valuable lesson. And it's like, there's been times even when I was coming up in the trades, I'd suggest something to my journeyman and they'd be like, "Yeah, just shut up. You're stupid. You're a little helper." And then all of a sudden we do it. He'd be like, "Don't let that get to your head." And But like, there's so much truth to it. Like anybody can learn anything. Zach could come on a job site, who's our IT guy, and like he could show me how to run a wire, and I'd be like, oh wow, I never thought about doing it that way. Like that's crazy.
100%.
So, as I don't think you're ever above learning.
No.
And like you said, our industry's changing so much. Like, there's what's new in our industry that wasn't there like a year ago?
I feel like solar is getting more and more in depth, and more people are wanting it. Tesla Cybertrucks, stuff like that. We just installed probably 15 of those for customers, getting the gateway so their Tesla Cybertruck can actually power their house in the event of losing power from the utility company. There's just so much that goes into it.
Like I even think back to like tools too. Like I know the old timers didn't even have electric power tools, but like now what you guys get to use, it's like, it's not even fair. Like I used to have to use a hydraulic punch out, and I'd be sitting there just drenched in sweat when I have to punch 30 holes. And you guys get to use the electric Milwaukee one. I was it's done. It's like, it's crazy the technology that's out now.
Yeah.
It makes everything so much easier, faster. You guys are spoiled.
Even stapling Romex, you're not pounding your thumb with a hammer trying to hold the staple on the wire anymore. Milwaukee came out with an electric staple gun that just does it for you.
I'm still skeptical of that thing. So I'm an old timer. I'm stuck in my way. You guys pull that thing out. I'm like, you're gonna run a staple right through that wire, and we're gonna have to replace that whole home run. No, thank you. Yeah, it's what, like, do you think there's any one path like on the electrical journey, or like what way do you lean?
I don't think there's any one way to do it. I think like there's multiple ways to do it. You could go to school, you could not. I think there's things you learn in school that you otherwise might not get exposed to. So I lean towards, hey, if you can get in the apprenticeship, go do it. Like, what's it hurt? You get paid to be there. So there's no point in like not wanting to or not doing it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any one way that you could go. I mean, you could go industrial, residential, commercial. There's so many different avenues you can take. Getting exposed to all of it is awesome if you can. But if not, if you find your thing you like to do, you can just grow exponentially in that area.
What's your favorite thing to do?
I love commercial
Why?
work. It's nice to know what you're getting into. I guess residential is really cool too, because there's a lot of days where you're on service calls and you just have no idea what you're going to run into, and it's mind-boggling. Commercial for me, I really enjoy bending pipe and pulling wire and stuff like that, and you don't get exposed to that in a residential house. There's nothing that I really like love more than another. It's just commercial just kind of sits home with me.
Yeah. What do you not like?
It's a hard one.
There's gotta be something. I can confidently tell you I do not like residential. I like the service side of residential, but new construction, I feel like a monkey that has no brain. Like I'm just running stuff around and I don't have to think about it. And that is not insulting anybody who does that. I just want to make that extremely clear right now.
Yeah.
Everybody loves different, I guess, things inside the industry, and I like solving problems and creating new problems on a daily basis. I have a lot of love and respect for the guys who can like look at a house, lay it out, pull the wires, run the wires, and not have to think about it twice. Like a lot of respect for that. It's just I'm kind of sadistic. I like just torturing myself on a daily basis. Like it's part of being an electrician. Like it's that little, me and Ozzy talked about it. It's a little mystery box, and like when you open it, it's either going to be a candy bar or you're going to have a jack in the box that's going to punch you right in the face. Like
that is how it goes. I mean, for me, I think the number one thing I don't like doing is bath fan installs. New bath fan installs for me. It's horrible. Yeah. Crawling through the attic, venting out the side of the house. You got to climb down out of the attic, go out to the outside of the house, drill your hole, get your vent popped in, go back up in the attic. It's just a lot of up and down and back and forth, and it just takes time.
Yeah, it seems like you get like 1,000 steps in to get like one screw in.
Yep.
You're back, forth, measure 3 times. I'm not right where I thought I was going to be. Now we got to adjust over here. I
pray you don't hit a stud on the side of the house. Yeah.
That's the worst, dude. Bath fans are pretty bad. They're in my top probably 5 for not enjoying. But what's something you haven't touched yet that you're like, hey, I want to go know. I want to learn more about that.
I think industrial controls is something that I really want to get into. We did a little bit of that, building those motor control cabinets for a while, and everything in the car wash is controlled by an MCC, but there's just so much on a larger scale that I haven't seen or touched yet that would be really cool to see and get involved in.
I'm just going to plop you in the middle of a paper machine and say, make this baby run.
Right.
I joke about that, but that's kind of how I teach. So,
yep. Trial by fire.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of that, like that is my philosophy, is trial by fire. How did that feel?
Sometimes in the moment, you're kind of like, I'm drowning.
Yep.
Me, that's kind of my learning style though. So like the more I do that, the more that I don't get just the handout like, hey, here you go, here's the answer, and not, hey, you got to figure it out kind of sort of thing.
Yep.
I learn best that way.
Yeah.
Because even if you make mistakes are good because you learn from them.
Yep.
They're not always great if it costs a lot of money when you make the mistake, but I feel like trial by fire is, I don't know, it's just a good way to learn. You know, I feel like if you do something right 100 times, you don't learn anything, but if you make one mistake, you'll remember it forever and not do it again.
Yeah. I always try to remember in those moments, because like I also make myself learn trial by fire, which you guys don't get to experience or see. Like I set myself up in situations where like I absolutely just have to learn, otherwise we're fucked. So like as I do it all of the time, like without realization. And I think I try to remember in those moments that like pain and suffering is you growing as a person, and it is you retaining another skill. And like as long as you keep that in perspective, the pain and suffering doesn't hurt as much anymore. It still hurts, but not as much.
Just like working out, right?
Yeah.
You know, you don't grow your muscles until you're working them.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing with your mind. You don't grow until you actually work it, you know?
Speaking of working out, when are you coming back to the gym?
I'm hoping Sunday morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll next podcast, we're going to see if he actually does that.
Hey, now, I was sick all last week, and this week I've been working till midnight.
Excuses are...
I have not been working to midnight for anybody who's concerned about safety.
No more than 16-hour days.
Yep. Absolutely.
It was not forceful.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Volunteered, actually. Wasn't even getting paid.
It's an internship. That's for anybody who's thinking about being like anything in the trades, why should they choose electrician over any other trade?
That's a hard one too. I mean, there's a lot of good trades out there. Electrician, there's a lot more like math and science involved. If you look deeper into it, other than just, hey, I'm pulling wire from A to B and hooking it up, and you look deeper to like how the electrons flow and stuff like that, there's actually a lot of math and science that goes into our trade. So anybody who's really involved in that and really curious about it, that'd be a good avenue to go with themselves. I mean, who wants to be a plumber, right?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Not really.
Yeah. Well, is there any like closing statements you want to make? Like anything that you think people should know about the trade or PLB, as long as it's in good highlight and you don't.
No, it's a really fun trade to be in. We get kind of exposed to things that other trades don't. If you like working late and stuff like that, shutdowns are really fun. You get like 12 guys pulling a ton of wire at night, redoing a service on a facility or something like that. There's just a lot of like bonds that are made, I feel like, in the electrical trade that aren't really met anywhere else, because we're always having to move our stuff for other trades as well.
Yeah, we're like the most important trade, but the like least important on placement. They're like, electricians can move their stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. You already have your stuff there? Yeah, move it.
Yeah. Electrical is really cool too, because on commercial projects, we're usually one of the first people in the door and usually the last ones out the door. So it's really cool, like just seeing the process of how things are built. You get to see it all right on site while you're working too.
Yeah, we literally show up with the excavators and we leave once final occupancy is approved. Like, it's crazy.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
I don't know any trade that's on there longer than us.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. So plus, I don't think electricity is going anywhere because everything just keeps getting built up around electricity. So I think it's probably one of the most secure trades out there too.
100%. All the electric vehicles, solar that's going on all the buildings.
Just remember this: when the robots are doing this stuff for you, we have to fix the robots.
Right.
That's all I like to keep in mind. But with that, like, I appreciate everybody who watches this podcast. Logan is a rock star and he's a killer. Like, this industry is in for a lot with what he's to accomplish yet. So everybody have an amazing time. Thanks for watching the Here For You podcast.